Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. This video is in response to my latest poll, which was whether or not you guys wanted to see a Diatom filter put together just using basic tools. No milling machine, no lathe, and there's over 200 votes, and pretty much 200 of them, 94%, were in favor of this, so here we go. The other thing I wanted to incorporate in this as well is only materials that I could get at a general big box style hardware store. And that is what you're looking at here. This is all plumbing bits that you can get in any of those stores, except a couple which I either had in stock here or I picked up at another PVC store I have, but they're quite common. Those are the half-inch elbows you see there. You can get those at the big box stores, but I already had them, so I didn't bother picking up anything else. So this is half-inch PVC and 1.5" ABS. And the problem with doing this style of build is you can't see what's going on. There's no way of making a clear box out of those materials, except, of course, if you wanted to get transparent ABS, which is more translucent than clear, and it's expensive. I have a piece here, but I didn't want to use it for this project because I think I have it earmarked for something else later on. And you can't join acrylic to PVC or ABS, so we are going to have to make something that's opaque. Now, I wanted to cheat a little bit here, so I decided to take apart my old Diatom filter. This is the first one I made, and you can see the difficulty I'm having here because cheap Chinese or whatever, so-called stainless steel, isn't that way. They will eventually rust, and that's what's happened to these, so it took me quite a bit to get them apart. Now, normally, this is held together with a bit of silicone. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of difficulty getting this apart as well. If it sits long enough, it does eventually kind of bond to it. You can't use it, of course, to make aquariums or anything, but it does make it a little bit difficult to get this apart. And I thought I'd leave this clip in here because this was done so that I could, save a bit of time and having to make the insert part, which is coming up here shortly once I get this apart. Because I didn't want to make that. I wanted to not have to drill that apart, so I figured, well, I'll just take this one. And there's more about that coming up here shortly, but for the moment we'll just get on with this build. The internal part of this is that. It is a nice piece of, I'm not actually telling you the truth, I'm not sure what material it's made out of. It is some kind of plastic, and it has a lot of nice perforations, and it worked really quite well. But I needed, of course, to make special fittings for both ends to make it fit onto the half-inch, as you can see here, fit on the half-inch fittings for the PVC. But all you need to do is take, as I showed just a little earlier than this, a piece of half-inch piping, and you can just drill a bunch of holes in that, as you can see with that little piece I just popped in there, and that will serve just as well. This is just something to allow the water to flow through with this material, which is called crinoline, and go and form that nice layer around it so that it'll filter out the material that you want, which is usually free-floating algae or sometimes ick. So I'm going to, like I said, use this, or at least at this point what I thought I was going to do was use this, but that's coming up again. And you can see it's just held on with a zip tie, and it's very easy to do. And the rest of it actually is a fairly straightforward build as well. I mean, I did pick up some threaded fittings for working with the 1.5" to cut it down to half-inch, which are those bushings you see in the right side there. And I was going to make them threaded because it's much simpler to just screw these in. I don't want to glue any of this together because I already have a Diatom, well, I have two Diatom filters, but I actually really prefer the smaller one because it's in tank, so it's much simpler for me to work with. And it actually goes everywhere, and I don't have to worry about if it plugs up, having it drip or anything. So it is much more convenient that way. And if you saw my latest video on it working on that tank, it is extremely efficient. So I don't really need this. I just wanted to show you guys a way of doing this. So initially what I was going to do is I was going to take, this is a really bad bit, as you can see, because it's more melting the ABS than cutting through it. I was just going to remove that little bracket at the bottom, which keeps the threaded fitting from going further into it than you want to, but it didn't work. It was too rough. So what I did instead is I just ran it all the way through. So I won't use the actual little bits of thread on the end of that. It's called a short nipple, I think it's called. And instead, what I'm going to do is machine that all the way through. And then I'm going to slide through a fitting like this. So it's going to go on both sides again. Yeah, if you use a 3/4 inch bit, which is not uncommon, it will easily make this work. So you don't have to worry about it. The other hiccup I found, there's actually quite a few in this, is my PVC glue. It was dried up. It's useless. I only buy it in small cans now because I don't use enough of it on a regular basis to make this worth buying large cans. And like I said, it just gets hard. So this is something I haven't done before. This is just it's just glue. It's just a epoxy mix, and I don't normally use epoxy on PVC or ABS. But it should work perfectly fine. The reason I don't do it is because it's so much simpler just to use the glue that's designed for this, and it sets in maybe 20 seconds, whereas this was a half hour I had to wait. And again, it's just much simpler to work with. I also wanted to do this simply just to see how well this is going to hold long term. I'm going to use this piece later on for other stuff, and we'll see how it does. I mean, so far it's fine. This is going to sit in an aquarium. This is not designed to sit on the side of anything. Now you just set it in the tank, charge it up, and then let it run. So it is not you don't have to worry about it leaking. I just don't want the parts to fall apart. The rest of the assembly is quite straightforward. It's just a matter of putting all the bits and pieces together, and don't glue any of them because you need to take this apart. Keep in mind this is going to sit in the aquarium, so if any water leaks out of it, it's not a big deal. And again, you need to take this apart to make sure that you got all the old diatom powder out. So this is where I ran into the other problem, where I'm trying to save some time, but this just doesn't fit in the hole. It's meant to go in that really large chamber. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to snip off the piece of crinoline I have on here, and I'm going to put on a piece of just regular 1/2 inch pipe, which is probably what I should have done in the first place. So just imagine I've drilled a whole pile of holes in that, because that's all it really is. And then I'm going to zip tie this on and take off the extra, and this will definitely fit in quite nicely. It's designed to fit in there. And I'm just going to put an end cap, as you see there, and I'm going to put a female fitting on the top, and I'm going to just thread it onto the one I've already glued in place, and that's it. That's the main chamber. That's how this all works. And obviously there's no point in me putting this in an aquarium and charging it up and getting it to work, because you're not going to be able to see it do anything. Most of the tanks I have are way too clean to see it actually polishing them up at all. So what I'm going to do is at the end of this, you're going to have a little clip of the one I had put on the other tank and showing you how well that works. And it's exactly the same, except of course this is opaque. So now all I have to do now is just assemble the return here, which is just, again, just a couple of pieces of elbows and small pieces of pipe just to give a return. And this is now pretty much identical to the acrylic one. And as you saw, no fancy tools, just drill bit and some glue, and that's it. It's, like I said, very straightforward to put together. I much prefer the other one because I really do like seeing them work and making sure that they are doing what I want to do, but this is something that anyone can put together. It's, like I said, it's very, very straightforward. Watch any of the other videos on how I get them to work, and that will cover how this one works as well. And like I said, thank you very much for watching. We'll just leave off with a clip of the clear acrylic one. Thank you very much for watching. Leave comments and let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.